Zoom, it tells me that the chat is disabled, so that could be an issue with someone somewhere. And then the third area I want to comment on, I heard on the video of the August meeting and read in the minutes that you're about to approve of for the August meeting that you all were scheduling a September 17th workshop. The note says that it would be announced to the public. I was wondering by what means it was announced because I failed to be aware of it. And then I don't see that there is yet any minutes or report or description to the public yet about that workshop, and wondered when and to what extent might there be some information available about that. And that's my interested items for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. So I can address those for you. I've been on travel, so I apologize for getting the agenda out to the public. Normally, if you go to the event itself, you'll show the general agenda, but the bigger agenda, I finally got on there today, so I apologize for the delay in that. As far as the public announcement was concerned, we put that on our website. We announced that we were going to be having a special meeting on the 17th. We included in there the location where it was going to be held at and the time, and that it was open to the public. And then the other that you had mentioned is the minutes from that meeting will be coming soon. They should have been done sooner rather than later, and I apologize for that. It's been a busy month for me, Mr. Anderson, so and I'm the only individual in the office, so I will get that up and out to the public as quickly as I can.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'm glad that you're busy with numerous things, and I will look more closely on the website to find these things sooner instead of later in my own regard. Thank you very much, Russ.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much for your understanding. And Madam Chair, we have no other guests. Unless we have somebody here, we have no other guests online.
All right, so let's move into the approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair.
Right.
Madam Chair, I would move board approval of the consent agenda as shown.
I will second it.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? All right, so that passes unanimously. So that brings us up to the City of Port Orchard presentation.
Good evening, and thanks for having me back. I didn't bring you any, I know, and I didn't bring any pictures because the pictures are the same, and you guys have seen all the pictures. So just figure I'd give you a verbal update on what's happening with all the different projects. As you know, ahead of building the community center, we're rebuilding Bay Street, and it's turned into an $11 million project. About 4 years ago, it was thought to be a $6 million project, but we're 100% designed. We'll be going out to bid on that project December or January. We're 100% designed state highway. We've got the state's approvals. We're going to lower the speed limit actually in that area, make it a little more pedestrian friendly, down to 20 miles an hour. And to refresh your memory, so every November we get king tides happen, and we get heavy rains and the road floods. And we didn't feel it would be appropriate to build new buildings in an area of our town, downtown, that floods. So we're raising the road 1.5 feet. We're undergrounding the utilities. We're putting in all new infrastructure, sewer, water, stormwater. Street trees don't exist today, and they will on the new roadway. Wider sidewalks. And all of that was all supposed to be paired with, of course, Kitsap Bank's new headquarters. If you've been following the headlines out there, the bank is being acquired by Heritage Bank, and I've met with Heritage Bank, and of course I've met numerous times with the leadership at Kitsap Bank, and Heritage doesn't need a headquarters in downtown Port Orchard. They've got one in Olympia, and but the bank has spent a considerable amount of money and time getting all of the entitlements to build a building on our waterfront, which have value, and it likely will not be an office building. It will be a mixed-use building, and we believe with the housing growth we're seeing in Port Orchard, the bank is not going to have a lot of difficulty, whether it be condos or apartments on top of ground floor retail, or I wouldn't even mind seeing a hotel, but we'll see what the market brings to our town.
Mayor, Heritage is happy where they are.
Heritage is acquiring Kitsap Bank,
Right.
all of Kitsap Bank's branches. So Kitsap Bank has 3 branches in Port Orchard. And this location was going to get turned in, is currently Kitsap Bank's, the bank building we bought to build the community center is where Kitsap Bank's headquarters currently is. And our plan all along was Kitsap Bank had commitments that they were going to build their new corporate headquarters, which they've designed the building and gotten their entitlements for that, and we're in the permitting process. So I'm just sharing with you that's not going to happen, but we're confident that a project's going to happen. This is not going to happen at the same time or before the community center project. It's going to trail that.
So is Heritage planning on building that project, or they may spin off?
I think that, I can't speak for them, but the banks aren't, I came from the banking industry. Banks aren't developers.
They're not landlords.
No. And so I don't believe they would. But the entitlements and the property have tremendous value.
Yeah.
And with those shoreline permits, that takes a couple of years to get shoreline permits. So they have a shelf life of a few years to them. So it's going to move forward, just not as what we thought it was going to be before. So, and like I said, I've had meetings with Kitsap Bank, and just last week I met with the president of Heritage Bank, and partly because their project is going to trail us, and they're on the front corner of, so here we're going to build this community center. We're designing the Orchard Street Plaza, that this new community plaza, and where a farmers market's going to, and then the frontage or street corner to all that is the bank, was going to be the bank's building, which has a chain link fence and there's a gravel lot right now. And so we talked about, if things don't move as quickly as we want them to for them, about us controlling. One, we're going to need it for a construction laydown yard, and making us, not having a chain link fence, maybe we turn it into some sort of a park on the corner until that building gets built. But so we're in conversations about those types of things, what's plan A, what's plan B, so that we don't open a new community center and public plaza, and the front corner of it is a chain link fence, which is not acceptable to anybody. So I've been having those conversations. Other things we've got, so road project is next year, in 2020. And we had our work study last Tuesday with the City Council. The budget and that approval for the funding for that road, which is fully funded, should be in next Tuesday's action with the City Council, with $26 million worth of capital projects. We're growing very rapidly in Port Orchard. The road is $11 million of that. In 2027, we're going. Our work plan has $37 million in capital projects, and at least our portion of capital projects. And one of those is the community center. We've got Bethel Phase 1, which is a pair of roundabouts and a complete street between those two roundabouts on Bethel Road. An intertie, which we have 2 water systems in the city of Port Orchard, and so we're in design of a big pipe that ties those 2 systems together, because we have water on one side of the city and storage on the other, and make our system work much better. And then the next phase of our waterfront pathway. So we got about $37 million worth of projects going on in 2027 too. So very busy in Port Orchard, but the road project and the community center project are two of our biggest priorities. So, questions for me?
I'll ask a question. This is off of memory, but the bank, retaining the bank and having it built there, my memory was that it was like 100+ positions, but right at about 100 of executive level.
Yeah. Some of them executive, but yes.
Yeah.
White collar jobs, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a huge loss.
So I was really discouraged, as I'm sure you are, to read that and that was
it hurts.
happening. And I was just wondering, is there a way that the city tries to recruit a company that would have that same kind of impact or connection, foundation for a downtown that you have tried?
We had some of those conversations last week, and I made some suggestions. I know there's another financial, whether they want to sell to another financial institution or not, but I know there's one that just sold their corporate headquarters, and I suggested, they're looking for some place to go, and what a fabulous opportunity, and presented some other ideas to them too. But ultimately it's their property and not the city's. But yes, we're having those conversations, and whether it be a hotel or a jobs creator, we do have we are the county seat, and we've got a lot of jobs. We do have a lot of jobs, but you never have enough. Yeah, that's for certain.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So to verify, the bank actually owns the land that they were going to be building? Okay.
Yes, the corner piece and the parking, they're a big part of all of our plans, because across the street, if you remember the master plan for that is a parking garage and 2 residential towers, and there's 4 parcels over there. We own one, the bank owns one, and there's 2 other parties involved. So there's a lot of moving parts there, and we talked about maybe it makes more sense to move on that side of the street versus the other side first, and the reasons behind that, to build the parking garage, and that would help out greatly in our downtown efforts. But so all those conversations are happening. It did happen and are happening. It's discouraging, but I know there's a path forward, and the bank wants to see it succeed too. They've invested a lot of time and effort into this too.
Yeah. Do we have any more other questions?
I know I met with, was it last week or the week before? It was last week. Sean and I and Russ and our finance director met, talked about, we know the ILA is coming up, and I know Russ got your guys' attorney on it, and we're anxiously awaiting seeing that document and get it approved on our side and back to you.
And I think our understanding from conversations to date is you have reiterated that you do not have the bonding capacity, that it would have to be.
That's kind of what I was alluding. We have 30, I might have the numbers reversed. There's 35 and 37 million. We either have 35 million in projects and 37 million in bonding capacity, or it could be, I'm doing it from memory.
Gotcha.
We're not going to bond, of course, all of that, but that's just next biennium's capital projects. We're going to bond, borrow money for some of what we're doing this year. We really don't have little, if any, excess bonding. Because Bethel Phase 1, we're borrowing all of it because we've got a dedicated funding source for that, the sales tax.
Okay, does anybody have questions on that?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would ask too, when we did meet as a board, we had come to an understanding that we do not want to bond as well, since these are projects that we don't own. Has that been communicated with the mayor?
Well, I think I wasn't there on those conversations, but I don't think that we said we don't want to bond. We were hoping to be able to get the entities to bond. But we'd gone down this road quite a ways, and you've told us from the beginning that
Correct.
You could not bond on this project. So I don't.
That would kill this project.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were at our meeting. Was that the field?
It was, and I mean, I was involved with this from the beginning, and I always thought that you would bond if you could, but if you couldn't, then we would. That
Yeah.
was my impression of that, and it's obvious you can't, so.
Yeah, and I think I've been pretty clear every time I've been here that
Yeah.
we don't have that bonding capacity from the very beginning.
No, you have stated that each time
Yes.
we've discussed. The other two board members have anything to add on that?
I have a question for the mayor.
I thought
Hope you can
really
hear
that's
me
the
okay.
Thank you. That's the purpose of these policy committee meetings we've been having, to try and deal with that, because it's an issue right now with Port Orchard, but it's easy to see how it could become an issue with future projects. So we need to decide what our policy is going to be.
Well, and I agree, we absolutely have to have a policy, but I also think we're pretty far down the road on these projects now. And the policies we put in place now, I don't see how we can circumvent what we've already laid on the table. How long have we been talking on this? A couple years now?
No,
About
more
eight.
than that.
Has
About
it
8
really?
years.
Yeah,
Get out of here, really?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. It's a
I
long
mean, a
time
big
ago.
concern we have is it's going to cost us more money if we
Right.
bonded, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't believe that to be true.
That's what our
We-
financial people tell us. We don't have the same dedicated revenue source as you. And so.
And
I've
until, I
never-
guess until debt is ready to be issued, we met with our finance director and Sean and Russ last week, and if it is, it's not much.
So-
Much of a difference.
I was under the impression from our meeting, if you guys remember, it would be considerably more, wouldn't it?
I think they were estimating that there'd probably be about a $3 million
Yes.
increase based on our rate on a bond.
And you don't think that's accurate?
Not according to my finance director.
Maybe ours and yours need to get together
Yeah.
and
That'd be good.
come to a consensus.
Phil, you've got your hand raised?
I do. Can you hear me?
A little louder if you can.
All right. Is that better?
A little.
Okay. Sorry. Bad connection, I guess. One question I had for the mayor is, as I understand it, you're also asking for an extension of time. My biggest concern is obviously costs are going to be increasing. So the concern is the city's coming to us asking for additional funds now, as well as an extension. Is the city kind of understanding that this is it in terms of the funds that the PFD is going to give? You know, you ask for an extension and then, 3 years down, costs go up. Are we going to get another request for additional funding because those same costs have gone up in part because of the extension? And I understand why the extension may be needed. I just want everyone on the same page about what that may mean as a practical matter in terms of increased costs as well.
We'll have our, going back out, we've got one more cost estimation within the funding that's been provided, and we're planning on to do that right after the first of the year, because we don't want to do it too soon and it be, the information be stale. So there's some minor, we need a new city council members. They want to change things a little bit. So we've got some minor changes that are being made to the plans at our expense, and related to restrooms and a meeting room and actually some they're called nano walls. The double doors are now these accordion type doors that disappear. Which is a nice add. So we shall have our last cost estimates, or a cost estimate update, and we know that it's gone up. But we have an agreement for some fixed dollar amounts from you guys, and we have an agreement with the library for their contribution, and they're doing their part to raise their capital, and we know we have got our portion to pay for, which is probably nearly half of the cost of the project without the $11 million road and without the $5 million plaza that we're building. So we've got significant skin in the game.
So we'd have a fixed amount in our ILA, correct?
So if you remember, we have an ILA, and then we also have an LOI
Right,
for an additional $6.526 million.
right.
So this ILA that would come up in December would be a combination of both of those two, the original ask and then the additional.
And there'll be a not to exceed number
That's exactly
without knowing what the rates would be on bonding still.
correct.
Okay.
It'll be, we'll see tonight when we take a look at the PERC ILA. It has a not to exceed, so it'll have the same type of language.
Right, right. Your understanding too on it? That's good. I guess. I like your idea of our bonding, our finance people talking to the city just to kind of make us feel better about what we're doing.
Yeah, and I'd like to actually know what the cost is, or they can come to some type of consensus. I don't know if that's something we can do, have ours talk with yours,
Certainly.
you know, because we got a number in excess of $3 million difference,
Okay.
which is a lot of money
Yeah.
between us bonding and you bonding.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
But that, what today's rates are, what a year and a half
Right.
from now's rates are, probably.
I'm
Yeah.
not so much worried about what the rates are,
But the
but
di-
I'd like them to come to a
Yeah.
consensus of what they think the difference would be.
Yeah.
I
When
mean-
when we met last week, we just done a borrowing, and the rates that you guys were being quoted, we were very similar in rate.
See, and that's what I would like to see.
Interesting.
Yes.
There wasn't
Maybe
a
Director-
significant, I mean, maybe a 1/4%,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a significant
Okay.
amount.
Maybe we could have Director Shiplett get in touch with your people
We met last week.
and
We
get
did, and
us
it-
some
and I-
hard numbers.
We can also have another conversation with Finance Director for the city as well as our bond counsel. It's our bond counsel who was the one that estimated an additional $3 million, basically 4.5% as opposed to 5.5%. Looking at current rates and that 1 percentage point based upon the full amount that would be bonded came to about $3 million. But it's certainly worth having a whole nother discussion again. We'll bring Northwest Municipal Advisors in to the conversation, and we'll bring in our bond counsel, Foster Garvey. So, absolutely.
Yep.
It's vitally important that we have an understanding of exactly what that figure is going to look like, exactly what those annual payments, and it'll probably be a 20-year bond, would look like for us. What does that look like for us in the overall grand scheme of finances from now and through 2056? So I think that that's vitally important that when the ILA finally goes before the board, you have all those questions answered.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, so we can set that up before the December meeting.
Oh, most certainly we will.
Okay.
Most certainly we will. Yeah,
That'd be great.
all of that stuff will be set up. It will go to the city. It'll be just like what we've done with the PERC. We'll go back and forth with the language, back and forth with making sure that everybody's on the same page, everybody understands, because just like with us and us taking a vote, it's going to have to be ratified by the city on the city side too. So we want to make sure that both parties fully understand basically what they're investing.
And we can have our bond council conversation with the city prior to
Absolutely.
that too. Okay.
Absolutely.
Good.
Welcome
Right.
that.
Anything else? Phil? Anyone? We're good? Thank you. We really appreciate it.
All right, we'll be in touch soon.
All right. Bye.
Thank you, Mayor. We have the City of Poulsbo here, and they'd like to come up and say a few words. So Diane, if you want to come up, or Rob, or all three of you. Jeff, if you want to come up too, feel free.
Hi there, I'm Diane Lenius. I serve as the Public Works Director for the City of Poulsbo and the Project Manager for the PERC. I last saw you in August. We gave a presentation on where we were at with the commitment to advertise in January and award prior to the end of March. I just want to let you know that we are on schedule to deliver. We received the 90% plans for the site work on Friday of last week, and we're working through what the buildings are going to look like. There's a lot of details in the specifications that we need to finalize, but we're on target to deliver and break ground in 2026. And the project just keeps getting cooler. My partner in crime behind is the Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Poulsbo, and he's on fire as it relates to the programming for the site. And we anticipate having kids out there playing in 27, 28. So we're very excited, and we appreciate the support and the partnership that we've had and the good communication with Russ. So that's all I have to say. Last in August, we gave a full presentation, and there hasn't been anything significant in terms of change. We're still on track.
That's
and
great
our
news.
city administrator, Rob, is here as well. So if you have any questions, we're happy to answer those.
That's great to know. You guys are really moving ahead quickly, which we love to see. Do we have any comments from the board?
Thank you.
Guess we're all set.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
All right, general business. You got this for us?
We do, and I'm going to bring up a couple of things here that Treasurer Draper can speak to. The first is going to be what our Q3 numbers look like. It may be, see if I can zoom in for you.
It's a little hard
Yeah.
to read. I was going to talk about the operations fund initially.
Yes, down there towards the bottom. You'll see
Our
it.
revenues through September are at 107%. I'm sorry, our revenues are at 104% of budget, and expenditures at 106% of budget, so we're a little bit over, but historically, we come in under budget in our operations funding. Russ assures me that we're going to come in under budget again. We did get hit unexpectedly earlier in this year with, y'all remember we've discussed the KEDA dues that we have to pay, and we got hit with an amount higher than we had budgeted near the beginning of the year, and so that we got off to a deficit start, but we've largely made that up, and we're going to be very close to being right on budget for the operations fund. The other is for the capital fund. I got these notes from Russ that we've reimbursed just under $100.5 million, and we've got almost $1.9 million in sales tax revenue for the period. So we're still making money. This one tends to lag because the projects overall tend to slip, so our expenditures come later than we may have budgeted them, and it's a lot harder to budget for this kind of funding. You notice no one ever wants to cut the date on an ILA. They only want to extend the date on an ILA. So we're in good shape on that. In terms of our revenues, the monthly sales tax, if I can find it here. We are 7.3% dollar-wise, 7.3% ahead of last year. So we've had we haven't had any negative months. We've had a couple of low months, but we've had 7.3% month, a 5.6% month, an 8.8% increase month, a 23% month, you remember, several months ago. So that's looking pretty good. So overall, I would say our finances are in excellent shape. And Russ, we appreciate your stewardship.
No, absolutely.
You need to add anything?
No, I think you hit all the high points. Yeah, we will be under budget this year. Right now, we're projected to be over budget about $800, but I'll make sure that we're not. I'd like to keep my track record of being under budget since I've been here, so we'll continue to work towards that. I think trend looks like we're probably going to average out at the end of the year about 7% over this time last year. If you take a look at the last 2 years, in 2023, we were only 1.4% over 2022. In 2024, it improved a little bit, but we were only 2.1%. So in neither one of those years, we hit our normally projected 2.5%. This year, though, we're going to hit, I think we'll remain at 7%. There's no reason to believe that that would slip any. Of course, the more money we make, the more interest we earn on that money, too. So overall, we're in really good shape with the funding and our revenue stream. I did want to go back and speak a little bit briefly to what Treasurer Draper was talking about as far as the projects. We're still in that stage where we're reimbursing expenses, basically task 1 and task 2s of the projects, right? But we never know when those are going to come in, and we also don't know what the amount's going to be. So, for example, tonight on the consent agenda, you approved an expenditure to the City of Poulsbo to pay them back $88,000. But you know, who knows what it will be the next month. So that's hard to predict as to, well, how can you budget how much you're going to spend of your revenue each year. But what will start to happen is that'll start to normalize, because we go to this next stage with the PERC, for example. Now we're going to be in the bond stage where it's bonded, and we know exactly what we're going to be paying each year over the next 20 years. And so then it becomes a lot more predictable. So we can be more predictable on what revenue we're pulling in, how much we know has got to go out. You know, we've got 2 bonds still with the county. One of those is set to expire at the end of this year. The other one, which right now we're paying about $721,000, is going to go down to $66,000 between 2026 and 2041, and then we will retire that bond as well. So we're in other words, what I'm saying is we're in really good shape revenue-wise. Money that we've got in the bank right now, gaining good interest on it. We're able to pay the bills, not only our operating expenses, but pay any reimbursements that come in. But when we get to City of Poulsbo, that'll start to normalize.
Thank you.
Any other comments on our financials? I just wanted to throw in there, too, that when we're looking at being $800 over budget, our total expense budget for the year is just shy of $300,000. So we have a very small expense budget. When we're, 10% over, it's nothing much. I mean, it's money, but it's not a big number. So I congratulate you on keeping us on budget. All right, let's head over to Policy Committee.
Okay, the Policy Committee met back in October, I think last week, and it's a work in progress. We have another date set up in November to meet again to keep working on the Policy Committee. There's a lot to do there. And one of the things I'd like to see is another board-wide policy meeting coming up in maybe November, December timeframe, a 2 or 3 hour meeting where we can go over this stuff in detail and try to get an actual policy of how we want to do projects and spend the money. So that's pretty much where we are. I'd like to hear everyone's thoughts on what they think of another meeting to try to do this.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I absolutely think it is. As one who didn't get to attend the last one, I want to be a part of the conversation, and the mere fact that you all think that's a necessary thing, you've got my endorsement, and I'll do my level best to be there.
Phil, do you have go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I'm fine, and I think a meeting would be good. I do think that at the last meeting, we did kind of discuss the generalities of what we wanted. For example, I kind of took, the temperature of everyone who was there to say, are people interested in doing like a smaller project every 2 years, with the understanding we're also going to have a bigger project in X number, whatever year. And as I recall, the general feeling was, yes, let's do that. And so I thought that kind of the mission back to the policy committee was then to go back and set the framework, maybe for further discussion. So I would almost say before we have the entire board-wide policy discussion, unless someone has a different idea to what I just said in terms of the every couple of years for smaller ones, is that we go back and try to dial down that a little bit more on the policy committee side, and then we have it. I just don't want to have another 3-hour meeting where we all kind of say the same things that we've already briefly touched on at the last one, and then, then we go back to the policy committee and implement that. But if there's still a different sense of what people want to do, I'm certainly all ears. That's fine.
Madam Chair, I would echo what Director Havers is saying. I would say have the policy committee continue to do the work from our last general meeting, and then we'll bring that to you all, and we can have an entire whole meeting with everybody to make sure that everybody's voice is heard and we make a good decision together.
So I'm thinking that we did have a great meeting last time as an executive board group, whatever. But I do understand that what we're trying to do with the policy is a huge project, and it's going to go eons into the future and define what every board after us, how they work. I know that there's 7 of us. That means there's 7 different views on how we want to do this. And it sounds like the policy, what my concern is that the 3 people on the policy committee can talk about stuff and then bring it back, and we're still going to have that general discussion because there's 7 points of view. So I would like to see us all get together again and go through, finalize the big items, and maybe be able to pinpoint, like Director Haver says, some of the smaller stuff too.
Yeah, I'd like, our committee is still going to meet, and what would be nice if we can bring back a framework, and then, like Director Haver said, then we can start plugging the little stuff in as a board that we want to do with it after we come up with this. So I guess I don't want to stop meeting as a committee. I think we got a lot done. But we can bring that framework back and have the whole board go over it and decide the exact details of it is what I would like.
So do you have a date already for your next meeting in November?
Yes.
Yeah, I was looking that up right now. I believe it is November the 11th, but I'm trying to verify that right now.
Yeah, I know
it wouldn't be
we
the
have one in
11th.
November.
That would be, it's the 12th.
12.
For the committee, in my understanding.
Correct, for the policy committee.
For the committee. So as we're sitting here now,
So do we want to schedule a full board meeting sometime after the 12th then?
to just go through the policy? I'm leaning that way. How does everybody else feel?
I guess for me, I'd like to see where the committee comes up, because we could have to have another one before. I'd like to bring some type of
Oh, I
framework
getcha.
back
Okay.
so that we can actually start getting the board to put specifics down. And hopefully we'll have that by then. I don't know, what do you two think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, the last meeting I thought was productive, but we focused mostly on a 2 or 3 page small document, which was focusing on kind of the statutory requirements of what we can and can't do, rather than talking about maybe the future of timing of things and kind of general philosophy on, do we want to have smaller projects, big projects, that sort of thing. So I think the next one can and should be focused on that second issue of, what's our bigger time frame, philosophy, kind of that thing, rather than on the statutory requirements. But I'd like to, have that, and then almost say, okay, based on that, we have a rough skeleton to then give to the board to kind of flesh out.
So you're thinking to wait till after that meeting, see how far you've gotten?
That's what I would like to do.
Yeah.
I am interested in hearing where you got on just the general regulations, and maybe it's an update to that particular part that you worked on before, and feel comfortable that you've got it in a place where you could move forward. And maybe not necessarily with the idea of a decision-making, but to keep us tucked in as you go forward, because if there were to be something about that someone else had a question, I bet you'd want to know before you started working on a general framework. And again, not to make it a meeting of a lot of discussion, but on an update tone for those general things that you looked at. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't know because I haven't seen them, so I don't know whether that's just adding a step that will bother the world or make it harder.
Well, and I don't know that you've actually gotten to that point yet.
Oh, you're not there?
No.
Okay, I didn't think you were at a framework point, but that you had in fact looked at the regulations and things that were guiding it generally.
Yes, we did look at the regulations and what guides us. So I think we have a pretty clear understanding of that, but where I'm having a hard time is like with Director Havers, how we want to set up to do, for instance, small projects.
And I think that sounds like something you all will want to work on, you who know it and understand it. It's those big general ones that I'm curious about, and maybe it's just a report.
Yeah, and put a policy that generally has that, and then the whole board gets together to decide the specifics of how we want to do that, you know? So that's what I was looking at. We have a general policy and then a more detailed, I don't know, instruction or whatever, how we're going to actually do that as a board.
Would it be fine to have the policy committee meet on November 12th? And if the policy committee as a group says, hey, we're ready to include the rest of the board, then we would put out an email and set up a date to do that. And if we feel like it's going to take another meeting in order to get the scaffolding, or then we'll wait until we have that second meeting, and then we'll include the board once that has happened.
That would work for me.
And down here,
Yeah,
Director Havers?
yeah, that works for me.
Okay, that sounds like it works well for everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you. We appreciate all the work. We know this is not easy. You're just setting up for generations to come. No stress, guys. Okay? And PERC, ILA Amendment.
So, been going back and forth with the city, like I said, on getting this finalized, so that's why it's stamped final on both ends. It's gone through legal on both ends too, so they've both given it its blessing. So again, that's why I stamped it as final. So now it's come to the board for consideration and vote on this ILA. I had sent it to you all last Friday as a read ahead for the weekend, so hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at it beforehand. If not, I will give you, or even if you did, I just want to give you some of the highlights. Some of those highlights are that the original project was $15.6 million, but when we got the additional land, when they got the additional land where they can do some additional stuff, they asked for some additional funding, $2.8 million. So both the city and us would be into it for $17.2 million total. They've asked for an extension to be under contract with construction contract to March 31st of 2026. They will be going out very soon with a request for proposal on that, but they feel confident that March 31st they will be able to be under contract, and then the plan would be starting in the spring of next year. They'll start construction, put shovel in the ground and get going on it. The financing the construction financing piece of that comes at a cost when you're issuing a bond, and so that cost would be divided between both the district and the city. So the total cost is estimated at $238,000. $151,000 of that is the district portion, and the city would put $87 million into that. So when you come down...
87,000?
I'm sorry, 87,000. Thank you. So when you come down to, and I said 17.2, my mistake, it's $17,338,000 total out the door cost, if you will. If you go to attachment D then, and it shows the breakdown, if you look at the table, and this is including these figures I'm telling you is including the $151,000 that we'd be paying for the finance portion of it, and then the $87,000 that the city would be putting into it. So starting in 2026, we would start making a bond payment at $773,444. If you'll remember, the previous ILA had us stretched out to 2041, 15-year bond. But when we got legislation passed where we could continue to collect sales tax revenue through 2056, then I asked the city, could we do a 20-year bond and stretch that out over 20 years? They felt like that was a good idea for them as well. So it is a 20-year bond, and so for 20 years starting in 2026, our portion would be the $773,000. City's portion would be $444,000. Total finance on our end would be $15,468,880 and $8,881,740 for the city. So, any questions about any language in the ILA at all? And if none, then
What's the present date of the ILA?
I'm sorry, say again?
The present date of the ILA.
Oh, it expires the end of December.
And we're going out.
To March. Yeah, 90-day extension. Correct. And Director Havers, you had your hand up, but did you have a question or you just still had your hand up? Okay.
That was from before, sorry.
Right, and I'm sorry, I was thinking language. The contract awarding goes out to March next year. The ILAs don't have expiration dates on them.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
I would move.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Walt. I would move the motion that we approve the First Amendment to the Regional Center interlocal agreement between the Kitsap Public Facilities District and the City of Poulsbo.
And I would second Darren's motion.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? All right, we were passed.
Great, thank you, Board.
Go build it.
The last thing we have is I just wanted to give you a recap on the State Association of Washington State PFDs annual conference. Myself and Madam Chair Leadham went to that in late September. They're reorganizing themselves, which is a good thing. They needed to. A good discussion that came out of it. They're electing a new board for the association itself. They will probably be raising dues this next year, and a portion of that, part of the reason for that will be so they can continue to pay a lobbyist to work on behalf of the association. So at future points, if we decide to go out and ask for another extension of time to be able to collect sales tax, we have somebody already in place that'd be working on our behalf. The last part of that conversation, or the last part of the conference I wanted to let you know about, and then I'll turn it over to Chair Leadham, is they have asked if Kitsap would host the 2026 conference. It would be in late September. The idea there would be that we would hold it at our conference center, Bremerton Conference Center. It's normally just a 2-day event. They'll come in the night before, then you spend one full day in meetings, and then there's usually something the night of the last night, and then everybody goes home after that. So we've been trying to think about things we could possibly do if we're going to do that. Real rough estimate, if we were to put it on, it would cost the PFD about $5,000 in order to be able to put that on. Now, the the cost of the conference center and so forth, that's going to be covered in a couple of ways. It would be covered by, there's a registration fee for each PFD to come. Not a significant amount. I believe we paid $500 when we go to these conferences each year. But we also would be getting sponsorship. So we would reach out to Endurance, who is our insurance. We'd reach out to Foster Garvey. We'd reach out to Northwest Municipal Advisors and see if they're willing to sponsor. They've sponsored in the past previous conferences, so we would also reach out to them and see if they would help defer some of the costs of that. So, Chair Leadham, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we, because I'd like to get a motion from the board voting on approval of hosting the conference.
Right, so what we'll actually be looking at for this is not just approval of hosting the conference, but also putting this as a line item in our budget.
Correct.
For next year. Wanted to recap on the lobbyists. Obviously, we were successful. The lobbyist is now paid in full, and we don't actually utilize them right now, right?
Correct.
We're not paying him for anything right now. The idea is we'd have some money to be able to do so in the
Correct.
future.
Yeah, accumulate cash so we could pay him in the future.
Our annual dues have been, fill me in again? I don't know.
750.
Yeah, so when we say they're very small dues, it's very small dues. So it will be an increase, but it won't be much of an item. As to the conference, we're really unsure cost-wise, because though we've spoken to the other cities that have held the conference, they all own their own conference centers.
Correct.
They have their own hospitality teams. They have chefs. We're going to have to pay for all of that. So when we say 5, I'd like to say let's estimate upwards even of 10, and that way if we bring it in at 5,000, good for us. But if it ends up being a little bit more than that. One of the other things that has been really great going to other cities for the conferences is they showcase what they've done with their public facilities dollars. And we've had some great entertainment, but it's also just walking through the facilities. So that's why we were trying to figure out, we don't have a facility. We've got the conference center that we would hold it at. But what else would we like to show them to showcase Kitsap? So we've kicked around the idea of, Turner Joy and the theaters downtown.
Quincy Square.
Quincy Square, yeah. Not necessarily public facilities dollars, but public facilities helps keep Kitsap going. So we'll be looking for ideas, because Russ would end up being our planner here too.
And I also think a bus tour to the PERC.
Yeah.
That's
While
true.
it's being
I
under
think a bus
construction
tour-
might be a good idea.
Come next September, yeah.
Correct.
We can all put hard hats on. And
Correct.
that's a good idea.
Well, I think it also makes sense, just because ours is distinctly different from other PFDs. So not only is it the governance structure, but I would really recommend that we do a bus tour, so that because we haven't been sitting around quietly for the past 25 years.
No, we've been
very
making stuff
busy,
happen.
and it's
Yeah.
enriched the
We could
broad
certainly do
community.
that.
And
We could
have-
go to the fairgrounds.
and
We
show
could-
how large
Yeah.
the county is and how far the dollars have reached in the different parts of the county. I mean, I think it's a unique way to do PFD.
Oh, it's absolutely
And so I
unique.
think that's worth touting.
Good. We have lots of ideas to look forward to that. So we wanted to bring it to the board overall to say, should we host? Russ and I have been up and down on this. We're like, yeah, let's host it. No, let's not. So any more comments about hosting? Any
What was the
engagement?
downside in your conversation?
Part
So
of the
we're
downside
thinking of
for
it
me
too.
was Russ is it for us. And we have no staff. Should we hire someone to help us put this event together, or is this yet another item for Russ to take over? And I was just kind of unsure. And then going into this meeting for the Washington State, I felt a lot more secure about where we are as an organization for the entire Washington State. So that made me more leaning towards the idea of, let's go ahead and host it. So I don't want to.
Yeah, and I'm up for the challenge,
There we go.
actually.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to, kind of planning this and so forth. And personally, I think it'd be a great idea for us to do it. I'd love to be able to brag about Kitsap County. I love the idea about a bus tour and some of the things that we've done. I love the idea we'd hold it in the conference center, which, we certainly helped to build. We would use Columbia Hospitality for our catering as well. So, I think it'd be a great idea for us to do it. I'm certainly not shy of the work required to make it happen.
And it's not a large conference, and didn't you say there are only 40 or 50 people?
It's actually one full day.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
in terms of
But how many
In terms
attendees,
of attendance, though, I mean, it's not
Oh,
300
no.
people.
We've seen anywhere from 30 to 40 now.
Oh, well.
Now the association seems to be on better footing. And the other thing, too, is I'll be advertising the heck out of it to the other associations. But still, it's going to be under 100 attendees.
oh, yeah. So what the association has done every year is there's somebody in the east side hosts, east side of the hills, and then west.
Hills and
And so it goes
mountains.
back and forth. So that sometimes defines how many people show up. How far is it? I mean, who wouldn't want to come to Kitsap, though, you know? So,
We'd probably, during that conference, we'd probably ask one of the county commissioners to come and speak. City mayors, anything like that. I think it's important that they hear the voices besides just ours that have advocated for the PFD
Yeah.
since its inception in 2000. Obviously, the board would be invited to come and go as they want to and sit in on that. So, yeah.
take the bus tour up into the bike parks, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
think
I was
the
going to say,
regional
if
parks-
Executive Director Shiplet wants to do it, then let's do it. But they should bring their bikes, and we should go up to Port Gamble Heritage Park and go for a walk and see if we can find some chanterelles or something.
Love it.
So I actually had thought about that. For some people, they come in early the first day, and there's nothing really scheduled until evening, late day. But I've been to conferences before where we would have things like bike rides in the afternoon.
I think
So
it's a
I
great
thought about
idea.
that. Yeah. So,
And some soccer fields.
all right, any other comments about hosting?
I move that we go right ahead and do it, just as you all have been describing it, and thank Russ ahead of time for what is going to be a big part of what he's going to be doing, but I would include that piece in the motion.
All right, then we've got a motion on the table. We have a second?
I will second the motion.
All in favor?
Phil has his hand up. Phil, did you have a comment?
I was going to have some discussion real quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, the one time I
Phil?
don't ask. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't we have to add the budget amount in?
Don't we have to have what?
Add the budget amount into the motion?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I'd like to put a not to exceed $10,000 in the motion.
Yeah, I think that we need to put the dollar amount in the motion as a part of
Approve the
it.
addition.
So do we have to amend the motion?
Yes.
to add
Yes,
that?
and then you check in with me, because I made the primary motion, and the answer is yes. Good idea.
So do you have to restate to amend it? I don't know the rules very well.
We can.
Correct.
Go ahead,
yes.
go
You're the
ahead.
chair.
Go ahead. Could you restate the motion, please, as amended?
That we, in fact, endorse and agree to host the statewide convention in September 2026 at a price tag not to exceed $10,000.
I will second it. The
Any fur-
amendment.
Any further comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? All right, we've got that passed. Did we finish everything?
That's it.
All right, we are adjourning at 6:31. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, board.
You all.